Good evening. You're watching the news on Croatian television. Prime Minister Andrej Plenković has picked Darko Horvat to replace Martina Dalić as economy minister. Dalić resigned last week amid allegations of conflict of interest related to the Agrokor restructuring process. Her role as deputy prime minister will be passed on to agriculture minister Tomislav Tolušić. Lawmakers are expected to vote on the nominees this week.
After consulting on the matter, we have decided to propose to Parliament the nomination of Darko Horvat as the new Minister of Economy, Entrepreneurship and Trades, while the current Agriculture Minister will be named Deputy Prime Minister in charge of coordinating all matters related to the economy and structural reforms. That position will go to Minister Tomislav Tolušić. We will ask the Parliament Speaker to hold the vote on the Agriculture Minister and the new Economy Minister this week.
President Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović and Prime Minister Andrej Plenković met last night for the first time since the release of Martina Dalić's personal emails. They have agreed to hold a meeting of the National Security Council on May 28th. Sources say the president and the PM are planning to meet again this week. Agrokor special administrators are set to meet again with suppliers and try to convince them not to back out of the settlement. Small shareholders have already voiced their concerns that the crisis managers are leaning too heavily in the interests of Russia's Sberbank, Agrokor's single largest creditor and on whom the settlement hinges. Finance Minister Zdravko Marić says the big economic picture is the priority. Gordana Deranja of the Employers Association believes the alternative, bankruptcy, would be bad for everyone.
I view the entire process around Agrokor exclusively from the perspective of the entire economy and the interest of taxpayers, but primarily in terms of the whole economy. At this time, I would not want to speculate about any kind of what-if scenarios.
What's the alternative? Bankruptcy means much bigger losses than if they strike a fair deal and get something, while at the same time the company stays afloat and they can continue benefiting from doing business with them. If the company folds, they'll go bankrupt too in a domino effect. Those who don't manage to restructure will disappear from the market. Davor Bernardić says the 500 million kuna consultants and lawyers linked to the government managed to squeeze out of Agrokor is not the only transgression connected to the restructuring process. The SDP leader warns that if a settlement is reached without a permanent creditors' council, creditors may seek their claims in court, which means taxpayers will foot the bill.
The HDZ and People's Party government-appointed administrator believes that he has the right to break the law, which they themselves drafted to line their own pockets, claiming that there was no need to form a permanent creditors' council. This is just more proof of how far this greedy and arrogant administration is willing to go to cover up its own incompetence, laziness, and crimes. This is a classic HDZ scenario.
The SDP wants to amend the Constitution to regulate referendums more precisely. There are two initiatives currently petitioning to hold referendums, and the Social Democrats say they are taking advantage of a constitutional loophole. The leader of the Serb minority party, the SDSS, Milorad Pupovac, says the People Decide initiative is aimed at stripping minorities of their rights, while the initiators say they plan to sue cities that tried to block their petition drive.
We are preparing to sue Rijeka and Samobor, cities that denied their citizens the basic right to voice their opinion about the referendum. We will also sue Zagreb, Osijek and Rijeka because they effectively charged their citizens a tax on the referendum, and that's illegal. We have two referendum initiatives happening right now, and both target groups that are weaker. Our initiative can truly be described as the People Decide. We want that referenda that call for changes to the Constitution and legislation are decided by a qualified number of votes received by the initiative. After asking several times why signing the initiative is a good idea, first you get to make the system more fair, ask again and you get so that we get better representatives. When you ask a third time, you get so we get rid of Pupovac.
Finance Minister Zdravko Maric says the government will tweak excise taxes on fuel if prices continue to rise and reach a certain limit, but that time has not yet come. Fuel prices have gone up for 6 consecutive weeks. This is in part due to the U.S. decision to pull out of the Iran nuclear deal and introduce new sanctions against Iran, which produces 4% of the world's oil.
Right now, the price of oil on the international market has not deviated significantly from our calculations for the budget and projections for 2018. We are following the situation, and we know the retail prices of gas and diesel have gone up, but they have not gone beyond the limits we set when making our projections.
If they're considering this type of tax break, I think that would be a good thing, given that our Hoop Score index shows our economy is not competitive and productivity is weak. High taxes and fees will only further cement our position at the bottom of the EU. In sports, the coach of Croatia's national football team, Zlatko Dalic, has published his list of players for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. He's called 24 players to train. 23 will be going to Russia. The team will gather in Zagreb on May 26th and head to Rovinj to train up until their friendly against Brazil on June 3rd in Liverpool. Croatia's first World Cup match will be against Nigeria in Kaliningrad on June 16th.
The World Cup is not a time to be making any major changes, so this is it. I have full confidence in these players and our ability to achieve the dream that we all share.
Tomorrow's forecast calls for cloudier skies and less stable weather. There will be frequent rain and thunder showers. The rain will start overnight and into the morning on the coast, while the north isn't likely to see showers until midday. There will be a light to moderate southwesterly wind on the coast. Morning lows will range from 11 to 16 inland and from 15 to 20 on the coast. The day's highs will be between 21 and 26 degrees, slightly cooler in the mountains. Temperatures will be relatively warm in the interior for the rest of the week. The weekend will be significantly warmer, but conditions will still be unstable with occasional rain and thunder showers, especially in the south. On the coast, stormy weather is expected until Thursday, when conditions will improve a bit. Friday will be mostly sunny. A southeasterly wind will dominate until midweek, but there will be an increasingly frequent shift to northeasterly and northwesterly winds. Temperatures will be warmer as the week progresses. And that brings us to the end of the news. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.